here they are trying to figure out, why are they so irrelevant? They just can't figure out why they're not relevant.
Listen to this. New research shows 1 in 5 adults regularly get their news from influencers on social media. The number is even higher among younger Americans, with almost 40% under the age of 30 getting their news from those sources. According to the Pew Research Center, the social media site X remains the most widely accessed platform, followed by Instagram and YouTube.
I mean, that comes obviously for political news. And Mike, that's the challenge. You grew up in a newsroom like Gene grew up in a newsroom. I mean, that's a challenge for a lot of mainstream media sources is, do they make themselves relevant again? To hear 20% of adults who actually get influencers on social media.
I don't know
maybe somebody who makes baskets, and while they're making baskets, they look up and say, vote for candidate X.
I don't know how they make themselves out.
You see how arrogant they are?
Make ourselves relevant again, because
they don't know how to make themselves relevant again.
Can't compete with 20-second snippets.
Or basket weavers.
On an iPhone, walking up the street,
morsels,
getting your entire news digest of the day in less than a minute on your phone as you're walking into the crowd with coffee in one hand and your phone in the other. I don't know how we catch up to that.
Yeah, so Gene Robinson...
You can't, and this is actually what some people are starting to realize. So remember how X was like persona non grata, and you just heard the guy who, well, I guess got fired for plagiarism from the Boston Globe, Mike Barnacle? Well, he's like now one of the cool kids on Morning Joe, if you can call them that. Yeah, that's a big if. All right, anyway, so they all hate Twitter, and yeah, the kids are watching the 20-second clips on Twitter. We show you a lot of the 20-second clips, and we digest them and we talk about them here. But the reality is that all those corporate elites and snobby elites with all their arrogance, they've just suddenly realized that maybe they actually need to be back on Twitter, X. They need to be back on X. They can't actually just take their ball and go home like they tried to do. I don't know what that was about. They're like, okay, well, Elon has it now, so we're not gonna participate. Well, now they're participating, believe me, because that's where the action is at. Now I know that there's some influencers like, the woman who's about to get fired from Disney's Snow White, Rachel Zegler, that cute little ingenue that seemed so sweet when she was in West Side Story. She had kind of a pretty voice. I liked her, and then she turned into something else. Oh my goodness. Even got Gina Carano fired from Disney because Gina wouldn't put up her pronouns on her Twitter account. Funny how this all sort of comes full circle, especially considering that there is one little lady that would be AOC, who actually also is not putting her pronouns up on Twitter anymore, because you know what? It doesn't really matter now, does it? Nope, it doesn't really matter. And so all of this is, of course, I mean, this little one, here she is. This is Rachel Zegler, who likes to wear a mask when she is greeting and speaking with any of her fans outside the Broadway play that she's doing right now. So she got Gina fired. She's saying, I'm off X. I'm done. I don't want to participate anymore, because I'm going to take my ball and go home. But the reality just is this, and that's that everybody else is there. I'm there, by the way. Follow me there. We're live there right now, by the way. And that's sort of the way the world is. And so the faster that mainstream media catches up with where we all are, the better. I mean, that's better for society. I criticize Mika and Joe as being grifters and just caring about their bottom line and making sure they don't get fired. But in reality, I do hope that there is more of an exchange of ideas. I hope we can go back to a place in America where we can all speak and we can all be heard and we can all be respectful of one another, because let's face it, there's one team that's not respectful at all. Like, you could get fired for being a Donald Trump supporter. There were kids that were freaking out on college campuses if they saw so much as a Trump sign on the street. And they still have this TDS over at The View, right? Owned by Disney's ABC News.
And by the way, this idea that Trump won with some kind of mandate is not true. I mean, we have information there. He beat Kamala Harris by 1.6%. Joe Biden beat Trump by 4.5%, and nobody said it was a mandate. So get that out of your lips, out of your mouth.
No, it actually is a mandate. It is a mandate. Should we pull up the maps? I mean, it's all red, and then a couple little blue sparkles here and there because you all think you're stars. Okay, you go on with your little sparkling, little blue, little stars that you are on the coast in New York City and in LA, but the rest of the country, we're somewhere else. You know what? Because we actually believe that you do need law and order. We actually do believe that you need the police. You cannot defund the police. Have you seen, for goodness sakes, what happened in New York City? Tragic. An insane person who had been let out of jail because, why would you keep him in jail? I mean, not unless they want a transgender surgery. Would you keep them in jail? Then you could give it to them for free, right? If Kamala were in charge, for goodness sakes. Anyway, these networks are flipping out because they're getting hit with potentially billions of dollars in lawsuits. Donald Trump is filing lawsuits against all of them, from the Daily Beast to Penguin House Publishing to the New York Times to ABC News and George Stephanopoulos personally there to CBS News. In fact, at CBS, he's filing for $10 billion, which actually is more than the parent company Paramount is actually worth. So he just put them all out of business together. The View's kind of panicked about this. I mean, hey, at least over at MSNBC, they got Mika and Joe that are willing to suck up to anybody who they need to suck up to. I don't know if you get the same thing going on there at The View. They're getting nervous. They want to actually now see if they can find some conservative voices to just join their little table and round things out. Good luck. Good luck. I mean, you'd have to be some kind of masochistic idiot to go on that show. I never understood it. I've had friends that have done that show and conservatives that have done that show. And I'm like, really? Like, do you hate yourself that much? It is so not worth it to have to face the likes of Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar every day. I mean, my gosh, just looking at them, right? Okay, now I'm getting a little mean, but let's see where they've been and what they have done.